All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. You have tuned into This Pink Cloud. There you go. That's the brown cloud, dude. This is the pink cloud. We are a show about recovery, multiple pathways, and some mental health we touch on, especially with Chad. I am DJ Kelly Reverb, and with me sitting in the board off and get ready for the hallelujah.
No, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chad Lamont.
Thank you so much.
The gong.
I had both. You know what I'm saying? I get both.
I like it.
I
like
run the
it.
board, you
Well,
don't.
that was one of our new songs, right?
Yeah. That one's called Vominos.
That is not signed yet, but out there.
But it will be.
And that's the one that I mostly made, right?
No, I don't think any of them.
It's always
Hey,
like
you know
that
what?
back and forth.
Here,
like,
I'll tell you what.
Oh, wait,
Kelly
I made
a song
95%
and then sent it to
of
me when I was at work the other day, and then I made it better today or yesterday, and it's awesome.
So he thinks.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
But Kelly, he's doing it now.
As far as he knows.
Do we get a taste of it? Or?
Yeah. After we don't have that one queued up.
No, yeah, it'll be. I'll send you a SoundCloud link.
Okay.
Yeah.
Private link, dude. You
Yeah,
got it
man.
like that. Hey, so speaking of, let me go around the room and introduce everybody. Love to have this guy on the show. He is what I like to call recovery famous, and I would say he is the people's champ. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Josh Jordan.
Oh, hey guys, thanks for having me.
And
Your posture looks fantastic.
and the fantastic facial hair, just the stash. You've actually trimmed down a little bit. I see that you're doing some, is it low carb or is it more just training?
It's called, I think they call it an eating disorder.
It's called bulimia.
Speaking of mental
Feel
health,
great, though.
If I pass out, just throw some water on me. I'm good, dude.
Make sure there's no sweeteners in it, though.
Yeah, right. But really, the man of the hour. Excited to have this guy. I don't know if you know this, but I've been trying to get you on the show. And who was I'm trying to think of his name. I had him on from your organization. He used to work for you, and then now works for your wife. What was his name? Beard. He also did the RSPS training.
Craig
Anderson. Thank you, dude. Thank you.
That's right.
I just be knowing people.
But I'm excited to have this guy on the show. He is the president, CEO of APA, which is APAA, the Association of Persons Affected by Addiction. And then also a big proponent of the Big Texas Rally. And we're going to get into that and talk about that. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joe Powell.
Yeah, it's an honor. It's an honor.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here. That's right. Having fun in recovery. Yeah.
I'm excited to have you here because, you're such a big part of the recovery community and movement and have been for a long time.
Yes.
As you were talking, like we had briefly touched on the fact that you were in recovery in the 60s. And I'm like, now that is what we call maybe an old timer, right?
I went to treatment.
Oh, you went to treatment. Oh, okay. Well, I tell you what we typically do is kind of hear your story, your backstory,
Okay, cool.
and then we'll talk about your organization and then the Big Texas Rally.
Great. Well, again, my name is Joe Powell, and I'm a young person
Yes.
in long-term recovery.
There we go.
And what that means is that I haven't had a drink of alcohol in 34 years, since October 8th, 1988. And I haven't shot no opiates since January of 1973.
oh wow.
And it's only because of my recovery, right, that I'm able to be a servant leader today. And
Right.
a lifelong learner.
Sure.
Right, and a father today, and a husband today.
Right.
And president and CEO of APA, the Association of Persons Affected by Addiction now here in Dallas.
That is always a
for
mouthful.
25 years. This year,
Yeah.
we're celebrating our 25th
Well, congratulations on
anniversary.
starting that. I mean, I want to definitely get into that.
Yeah.
I want to definitely get into that, and I mean, the cause of like what wanted you or prompted you to start it. You know, but all that. But let's hear some of the backstory.
All right, backstory. I love the backstory.
All right.
It's kind of traumatic, but I love it. You know, coming out of Harlem, New York, born and raised in Harlem, New York City, and you know, started early. I mean, 10 years old with my first drink, and what is it? I guess I'll say I started with opiates and drugs. You know, probably when I was about 13, 14 years old, was started shooting heroin.
At 13?
Not at 13.
Oh, okay.
I was in the high school then, my last year. I remember, you know what I mean, of course, sniffing first and then going to, and thought I'd never, you know, use a needle.
Yeah.
But I got that desperate. But I was able to finish high school at least.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
But also because I couldn't stop, and you said, you know, the treatment in the 60s was I did go to the Phoenix House. The Phoenix House was the only place that it was in Harlem. There was a treatment center, you know, and you go into the house then, and they did real haircuts then. When they said, when you coming in, everybody getting a haircut.
Right.
Because the Phoenix House was about starting over as a baby, right? And now your recovery is starting.
Right.
But also back then it was very abusive, that kind of treatment, because, you know, it was all, today we call it therapeutic communities, but when they get on you, when people walk across and say, you know, we want the feelings to come out. We want to see the anger. We want the tears. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that can also get into a lot of suicide and everything
Sure.
too, when people go into, especially not knowing.
Yeah, it sounds like it was kind of a militant environment, like where they break you down.
Right,
you know,
breaking you down.
Yeah.
That was the key, is breaking you down, right? And you speaking of militant, and that's what happened in my story next, was that because I couldn't stop using opiates, right, that I enlisted also into the military army, because I saw on television that they was dying in Vietnam from heroin. 20% of the military that was over in Vietnam was using opiates.
Right.
And a lot of opiates came back.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You were like, oh, they got the good stuff over there, dude. I need to sign up.
Yeah. And my orders, you know what I mean, because I enlisted to go to Vietnam.
Okay.
That's the suicide mission I was on, because
I
didn't know how to stop using, so I said, I'm going to go and die over in Vietnam. And the way to die is that I'm going to get shot up with some bullets and die, or get shot up with some good dope and die.
Right.
And so I enlisted to go. So, but because, you know, they send you home first, right?
Right.
Because my orders was VNAM and then ABN first, and I was airborne. So I said, I'm going to jump right into the dope and just die, right? You know,
big old field of poppies.
You know it. Yeah.
That's
so, but they send you home first, right?
Right.
And I said, go home to say goodbye to your family before you go to, you know, to die. And so, of course, I went home and shot up, drank up, and smoked up everything I could. And then I came back, right, to the military base, and guess what happened? They did a UA on me.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right, and then with that UA, next thing I know, they knocked it and they said, hey, soldier, we ain't trying to send no dope fiends over to Vietnam.
Right.
We're trying to save some of these soldiers, you know what I mean, that's coming home.
Right.
And I ended up in treatment, and then I ended up staying in treatment for about 2 years, because when you enlist, it was just 2 years. And that was my first experience probably with 12-step program, which I, you know.
Right.
And so, but anyway, you know, it did the same. I didn't want to go to New York, because I did finish up, you know what I mean, and was able to get an honorable discharge and was able to come back to New York, but I didn't want to stay in New York. And that's when I got into a program.
Well, so when you did serve, did you end up going to Vietnam or no?
No.
Or did you just serve here?
Served right here in the United States the whole time. Went right back to Fort Lee, Virginia, right?
The safest place to serve.
That's right here.
Yeah.
So, and that was the God deal. The God deal was that, you know, hey, even though I wanted to go, and because of drugs and what was going on with opiates, right? But guess what? Opiates ended up saving my life too, because I didn't go.
Right, because you failed the UA.
That dirty
right.
UA.
Yeah.
And they said, no, you ain't going, right? And I had somebody to tell me that. I hadn't even thought about it. They said, man, so drugs, you was trying to go die for the drugs, and then drugs end up saving your life.
Yeah.
I said, right. So, but anyway, I ended up, that's how I came to Texas, though, is because I went back home to New York in 1973. Really, it was 72 when I got out the military. But when I went back home, I got into a program, and they said, anybody want to go to Waco, Texas, and take any trade you want to take? And I said, I need to get out of here. Yeah,
Right.
let's go.
Right.
And TSTI in Waco, and that's how I came to Texas and been to Texas ever since. I mean, I go home all the
So
time.
what did you want to come to Texas to do? What, like vocation-wise?
Yeah. Well, that was air conditioning refrigeration.
Okay.
That's what I came for, and that was the school I went to. And
We definitely need ACs here
we
in Texas.
definitely
Yeah,
needed.
for sure. That you're not gonna be out of a job there.
Right. But I continued to drink. And I did.
Uh-huh.
The cool thing was also how the God deal with opiates in this experience is that they gave us money to take an airplane from New York to Waco, Texas, right? And of course, you know what I did? I took that money.
Took the bus.
Exactly.
Nice.
Bought me some drugs. Bought me some methadone
Oh.
on the street.
Okay.
Bought me just about 3 pills.
Okay.
2 or 3 pills is all I needed. I knew the detox.
Right.
Got on a Greyhound bus and then took 2 days by local Greyhound
Oh,
to get to
shoot.
Waco from New York
Right.
and detox myself
On the bus.
on the bus and have not picked up any opiates since then.
Wow, dude.
I would say-
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's
right.
very impressive. That's also probably pretty traumatic to be
right.
to be
know
in
it.
withdrawal. You're like, yeah, I don't think I want to go through that again.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I mean, now I've detoxed and withdrawn many times. You know, a million times. How many times I said, hey, God, get me out of this. I swear I ain't gonna never do it.
the
but,
foxhole prayer.
Right,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
foxhole prayer. But the thing is that was it for me. You know what I mean? Detoxing on that Greyhound. When I got off that book, it was all about alcohol. And,
Wow.
Right, all the way till '88 when I stopped drinking in '88.
Well, what prompted you to quit alcohol? I mean, did you?
I
is
just got
that-
sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Doing the same thing, expecting it's going to be different this time. You know what
Right.
I mean? The insanity, plus my own PTSD, because again, growing up in Harlem, you know what I mean, and all of that.
Yeah.
Civil rights movement in the 50s and the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm a young man.
Yeah.
I was born in '51.
Right.
So the thing is
You
that,
look
know-
great, by the way.
Do I look great?
It's that vegan diet. It's that
That's
vegan
what it is.
diet.
That's
dude.
what
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I've been, yeah.
You look.
Vegetarian.
I mean, you look the same age as Chad, man. But Chad's probably got some harder miles. But
Oh, man.
dude, I got to strike first.
Right.
Let the fart noise hurry.
Yeah, no. I'll get him when he least expects
yeah.
it.
Right. But when I did go and somebody invited me to the rooms, you know what I mean, and said, hey, hang out with me. Of course, it was a lady, and then
Right.
And I went in there, and then when I got in, they said, hey, to stay in here, you got to have a sponsor. I said, a sponsor? What's that? Don't worry about it. Just ask that old dude over there. I said, ask that old dude over there, and. Because, I'm scared, and then, of course, don't trust nobody, you know what I mean?
Well, and you probably like when you're going into AA.
Right.
Well, at least when I did, it was like, oh, dude, okay, there's going to be a secret handshake,
Right.
a secret knock,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all kinds of stuff.
Plus,
yeah.
they had God all over the place. That
Oh,
really
yeah.
scared me. I thought that this was a place we got sober.
Oh, right, right.
What
yeah.
God doing all
right,
over the
yeah,
place?
exactly. What does spirituality have to do with it?
Right, exactly. Right. So, but I asked the old dude, right?
Uh-huh.
And the old dude back then, we didn't have cell phones like we got today. So he gave me his pagers, home, and then 2 hospital numbers.
Okay.
And now my PTSD, I'm scared, really scared now. I'm like, what's this guy right there? So, and he said, hey, you got to call me every day, you know what I mean? We're going to work the steps. We're going to, read the book. We're going to meetings together, you know what I mean? We're going to work this thing, right? And I was like, whatever that means, this is my first day, and now
Right.
I ran and got me a drink of alcohol as soon as I left that
yeah.
meeting, And, but also, before I left, though, I said, hey, who is this guy just asked to be my sponsor, right? And they said, oh, that's Dr. Deere. He's a psychiatrist. Now, I'm
Right.
like, whoa, what is a doctor even doing in these rooms? Did they let this must be some kind of hospital or something. What
Right.
I didn't know what to think.
It's like a
'Cause,
medical
right,
facility.
right.
They tricked me into going.
Yeah,
man.
And so that was another God deal.
Uh-huh.
Right? What is this guy, a black psychiatrist, doing in these rooms? And
Right.
then, of course, once it took me 2 weeks to surrender totally. After a couple of weeks, I called him. And then that was it. And I hadn't picked up a drink since then, because, he came and got me. We start every day. We working it. And he was cool. He died 3 years ago.
Okay.
Almost 4 years ago now. Dr.
Wow.
Lewis did. I was able to get a building named after him. We're going to talk about that in a
Oh,
minute.
love it.
Yeah, the living room, the Dr. Lewis E. Dare Behavioral Health Complex
Okay.
in South Dallas, right. It's huge, where we do jail diversion and hospital diversion.
Oh, love it.
Yeah. So he was the one
Right.
that helped me out, right, a lot. and for the 30 years that he was with me.
Right.
Uh,
That's pretty good. Your first sponsor,
Yeah,
and you have him for
exactly.
30 years, dude.
Wow,
That's
isn't that cool?
That's crazy.
That is
Isn't that a
definitely
God deal?
that is
Right.
definitely a God deal for
Right.
sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm getting the message. you
Yeah.
know what I mean? This company is clear, right?
Right.
So there's a reason for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, and then back in 1998, so I mean, he sent me back to school. I got my LCDC. It's been over 30 years now.
Okay.
Since 1990 is when I actually, and back then it wasn't. It was a certified alcohol and drug abuse counselor back then.
Okay.
It was a certification. They actually changed it into LCDC because they realized that the same hours you put in almost for LPC,
Right.
right? You're doing it for LCDC,
Mhm.
for a certification. So that's why Texas didn't have no problem with making it a LCDC, a licensed chemical dependency counselor. So I picked that up, and of course, and then worked in treatment, the Salvation Army, and all these places that I worked. And then '98 is when the federal government stepped in. And the government said, Dr. Clark, he took over for the Center for Substance Abuse Treatment, all of the treatment in the United States, as far as with the government. And when he saw the data showed that only 10% of the United States was going to treatment for addiction. He's like, 10%?
Wow.
And now I'm the director over treatment?
Right.
He's like, hold on, we got to do something different here. He said,
Right.
don't people recover? I know people. And he was from Detroit, right? And he's still around, but he's like, where are the people in recovery? Why are they not here at the table?
They're out using and and being miserable.
Yeah.
Right.
They never, we was never invited. Recovery was never invited to the federal government.
Sure.
Right. They got the Center for Substance Abuse Treatment, they got the Center for Mental Health Services, and they got the Center for Prevention for the kids.
Right.
Those are the three centers under SAMHSA, under the Federal
Right.
Health and Human Services. But when you look at, of course, recovery, and so that's when they put out the first RFPs, request for proposals, the money, $1 million, right, for 3 years. And then APA, well, people in the community, I mean, all of us, they got together because somebody said, look, the feds got out a grant, man. They looking for people in recovery in
Right.
D.C., right, to make some changes and say, okay, cool. We got together, wrote the grant, and APA was the first recovery community organization in the state of Texas.
Wow.
That was in 1998.
Yeah.
Right, is when we formed that.
It's so crazy how that's a relatively, I mean, it's 25 years,
Yeah,
but I mean, it's relatively, they didn't have anything in place, dude.
That's
it was
right.
It was just like AA or
Right.
AA or good luck, dude.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was a cool thing about advocates from all over the country because these were organizations. It was only 14 of us that got funded, and so all the way from California to New York City, right? And again, we was the only one, and then there was El Paso Alliance. They was the second one in Texas, right? So all of us coming together and actually putting together. I mean, it wasn't even about peer services at first. It was all about advocacy. That the government wanted to educate the community first.
Okay.
What is recovery? The people do recover, and our job was it wasn't about our personal recovery, and there was many paths that actually came together, right? It wasn't just hey, most of us, of course, came through the 12-step, but the thing is that the multiple paths of recovery, and they want recovery out loud. We want the country to see recovery. This is not about an anonymous program, and that's when the recovery movement, as far as peer recovery movement on the addiction side. Mental health had already started about 6 years ago. They started on the mental health side with peer specialists and all of that, right? And that was cool. But on the addiction side, this was us starting that. So it was really cool. I mean, at the beginning, all of us coming together from around the country talking about advocacy. Of course, we did a lot of stuff in Austin with the legislators.
Yeah, how would you get the
stuff
word
like
out
that.
back then?
We
What
did
was it?
all the way from events at the zoo. I mean, you named it. Every week, like even now, and I mean, I started jamming in recovery. We still do every month.
Okay.
Today, 25 years later, we do a dance, right? We did the dance. It was 2 weeks ago. 70 people showed up.
Okay.
At APA, right, for jamming in recovery, right?
Nice.
And then
They bring the decks out, Chad?
Recovery at
Yeah,
the
play
movies.
it, yeah.
Yep. Recovery at the movies at the Angelica Theater
Oh,
for
cool.
years, right? I did
Right.
a movie every year. There's a great movie that everybody need to see called The Anonymous People.
Okay.
Right, by Greg Williams. And this was a young kid. He was 28 years old.
Okay.
Right, when he did when he actually directed The Anonymous People. And it was great, man. You know what I mean? When you look at the recovery movement all over the country, right, that's what that's about. They only got a couple of shots of me in there because when Greg called me, he's like, Joe, we need to do an interview with you. You know what I mean? I'm in Texas. He's out of Connecticut. Greg is out of, and we was going to meet in D.C., But anyway, we never did. So
Right.
they just
I'm
got
gonna
about
look for
3
you.
shots. Yeah.
I'm gonna look for you. I'm gonna pause it.
Yeah.
And
I know him.
Yeah, you gotta catch
pause
it.
it, and I'll send you my screenshot.
Right. And we're gonna do recovery at the movies again pretty soon. Because
Oh, cool.
the judges here, when we did it here in Dallas, of course, you know what I mean. That everybody, I mean, they loved this movie,
Right.
especially the justice system. And all.
Well, since we've gotten there, so what really, like, in your person prompted you to start APA?
Well, it was the community.
Yeah,
It was
It was
that,
just
you
a
know,
need
yeah,
for
with
it?
and the government. Yeah,
Right.
the need was huge.
Right.
I mean, recovery out loud, because we all I know, and all of us knew, we knew
Is
about,
let's talk in this room and keep it in this room.
That's right.
Right.
That's
yeah.
right. What we say here, we know. It's
Yeah,
not-
yeah,
don't go nowhere. But right here, right? So, yeah, I think recovery out loud, especially being a person, you know, with my own trauma and knowing how family and knowing how communities are not getting the support or the help that they need, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, can we do this, right? And so it was a lot of work. There's all kind of brochures and stuff like that, even with 12 steps in there that's showing that how that it's different from
Right.
anonymous. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That it's not anonymous the way we doing. So yeah, and that how we don't mess up any traditions or anything like that, right?
Right.
But the thing is that yeah, recovery out loud. So yeah, back then it was all about education. Or like I said, all kinds of events that we was putting on in the community then. You know, zoos and all kinds of stuff. You know, in
Right.
the community. And then that right there, the next grant period, though, 3 years later, after the education and the advocacy piece, and we are advocates first. That means that we talk loud about recovery, that I'm open. I'm a young man in recovery no matter
Right.
where I go.
Right.
But the thing is that, yeah, that next one started peer services. That's when we started actually peer-to-peer, right?
Right.
And that this is something that can you be trained to how do you support someone that is in any path of recovery. They don't want to, I ain't going to no AA and I ain't going to no church.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so now what, right?
Right.
How do you really engage another person and just talk, you know what I mean,
Right.
and just be there for
Well,
them,
and
right?
that's what we
Right.
did this podcast for, is because I wanted it to be an alternate, like because everybody knows AA.
Right,
You know, it's
right,
pretty
right,
commonplace,
right,
and
right,
I think
right.
it's actually works. Thank you, dude. Appreciate that. But every time I talk, now Chad's gonna fart noise me. But
You don't mess with the people that cook your food, and
They-
you don't mess with the people that run the board.
there you go.
You know what I mean?
There you go. Yeah. So it's now I forgot what I was gonna say.
You were talking about the multiple pathways to
Oh
recovery.
yeah,
That's why you started
yeah.
the
So
show.
that's why we started the show, is because I wanted to celebrate that, because there's so much good stuff out there. Like there's Smart Recovery,
Yes.
there's Recovery Dharma.
yeah.
There's a myriad of angles or tools that people can utilize.
Right,
And
right.
I wanted to talk about it all, because
Yeah.
some people actually just get clean. God bless them. They just quit.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
and I think everybody's story is important. So.
We call that solo recovery.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
The
There
cool
is-
thing about all that stuff is too, like, it's normal mundane things
Right,
that like you take for granted, and then people like that, you know, they recover and then they have like this healthy program. Everybody's like, oh, well, what do you do and this and that, and when you have a conversation that opens up, it's like, oh, well, I work out and I do this and I do yoga, and it's all these things that normal people do, right? But then like you can totally use any of those, and you pick and choose whatever works for you, man. Like that's why there's
Exactly.
millions of possibilities in the world of recovery,
Right.
when it really comes down to it. But the fact that you guys opened up that thing and started talking about it out loud, because anonymous programs, that's super cool. But my anonymity's been busted since my mugshot's everywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't give two. I don't care about that.
Right.
So I held myself back from saying that. Did you hear me?
I did.
I
dude.
did.
You edit.
Doing
Chad
better.
edited.
I edited
himself.
myself in real time.
Good job.
But yeah, it's amazing, because like this is what happens, and I get messages from people that I grew up with talking about like, oh man, just you guys talking about this stuff, and all we do is laugh around and joke about stuff, and then we say a couple cool things every now and then. But when we have people on like you that like are such a heavy hitter in this in this environment, and Josh too, man,
Right.
like it shows people. I don't know. It gives them hope, man, and that's all it takes. A little bit of hope and a little bit of listening.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It can go you a long way.
Long way. I'm glad you brought up the word hope, because they used to call me a dope fiend, and I have a hat. It's called a hope fiend.
Hope
Yeah.
being
So
nice.
and it's a great
A hope dealer.
Great. Yeah.
Hope dealer.
Yeah, hope dealer, hope
Yeah,
fiend. Yeah,
right.
yeah. As long as we get the hope in there,
Yeah,
right?
for
but
sure.
but what we also did, and we had a big summit, a recovery summit in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and that's where from that summit, 500 of us from around the country came together for recovery, right? And it was the first recovery summit, and from there we started Faces and Voices of Recovery. So Faces and Voice of Recovery, make sure everybody go to that website. It's the largest recovery advocacy organization in the country, right?
And what was that again?
Faces and Voices
Okay.
of Recovery.
All right.
Right.
And just probably Google that and they can find the website.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, everything is on there. And actually, now they doing. I mean, all of us as far as
And that's a nationwide.
that's national, right?
Okay.
And really, it's really global. It's really
Okay.
internet because now they in Australia,
Right.
Sweden, and Africa. They're all over the place.
That's awesome.
Wherever,
Yeah.
wherever recovery organization where we could put one at. The goal with the feds was that every city in the United States should have a recovery community organization.
Yes.
Somebody need to be actually promoting recovery out loud
Right.
in every city. I mean, we are like way behind, you know, even with 25 years, you know. And
Right.
I just came from Washington last month, and we talked a lot about this in next month too. But anyway, yeah, we're doing, you know, the thing is a recovery community organization. And what do as far as getting the information support out, the emotional support out, the instrumental support out, and definitely the information is and companionship support. That's the biggest, the companionship support, right? So meaning that I hang out with people like me.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
at this table, this, right?
Sure.
So who do you hang out with, right?
Right.
And that's what probably one of the biggest things, right? Is even in 12 step, it said that what makes it work is what? The fellowship is number one, right?
Yeah,
And so,
I like to say your tribe.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
finding
there
your
you go.
tribe. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right, exactly. So yeah, from that we started Faces and Voices of Recovery in Washington D.C. and a lot of movement from around the country then started on that. So advocating for how do you advocate for recovery,
Right.
And that was a biggie right there. So from there, of course, APA just continued to grow. Dr. Deere in the community, you know, of course now the associates. And all of the providers, you know what I mean, that you have to come out with the grant funding that actually came out, you know what I mean, from the state, and you know what I mean.
Right.
The other thing what I learned, of course, was about, and we'll talk about that too, is the recovery month. September's recovery month.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it was 34 years this year that the federal government
Oh,
have been
okay.
promoting recovery month. I
Right.
didn't even know that.
Right.
So I had to go 3 times a year to Washington D.C. to see how do the United States even work, even with the military, you name it, the churches everywhere, all over the country, right? They coming together, and it'll be like 100, 200 of us coming together 3 times just to put in place, you know what I mean, how do you really move recovery
Yeah.
in the country, right? And so, yeah, y'all get a chance. That's another website is to put in Recovery Month. And you can just put in Recovery Month. And
Right.
the government site comes up automatically,
Right.
right?
They know what
And-
you're doing
Oh.
automatically.
They give you a lot of
Right.
good tools, though. I mean,
Sure.
we got PSAs on there, all kinds of stuff that's on there. And even, you know what I mean, how do you...
Well, isn't there also an organization called SHAMSA, right?
SAMHSA.
SAMHSA, okay.
SAMHSA, yeah, that's right under
What's the
HHS.
acronym for that?
That's Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Okay.
Right.
And is that just Texas, or is that
No,
that's nationwide,
that's
right?
nationwide.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So that's under HHS. And then SAMHSA, again, has those 3 agencies under them.
Okay.
Which is treatment, prevention, and mental health.
Gotcha.
So, right.
Okay.
So CSAT, CSAP.
Yeah.
And then the Center for
I
Mental
love all the acronyms in recovery. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Right.
But that's really, you know what I mean, as far as how Apple, you know what I mean, continue to grow with just providing recovery support
Right.
services. The cool thing with the peer specialists, because again, we was training and stuff, but it hadn't been formalized
Right.
until probably it's been like 12 or 13 years.
Right.
So C-CAR is one of the ones in Connecticut,
Uh-huh.
right? And so they're one of the trainers. They're the first one that actually charge for peer specialist training.
Okay,
Right? And
yeah.
it's pretty high.
Yeah.
You know, and they're doing a good job, but they've taken off really good with theirs. Right.
Right. Now, do they
Ours-
have the RSPS and MHPS as well? Is it the same? Is it nationwide that's a thing, or is it just statewide?
Yeah. Now, peer
State by state,
specialist
yeah.
is global.
Okay.
Just the word, just peer specialist.
Right.
So,
or like
yeah,
some people would say recovery coach too.
Right.
Yeah,
Coaching
right. Yeah.
is another one, right? The terminology in, every state sometimes, but all of us to keep the fidelity of peer support, then peer specialist is right. So that means that, I've been trained. I'm not just a person just came out of the 12-step program.
I'm not just a dude.
Right. And don't know anything about the multiple paths of recovery. Right. And that was the cool thing is that with multiple paths of recovery, like CCAR, they're the only one right now that does a conference every year on multiple paths.
Well, what I learned from your lovely wife is that we are like resource brokers.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. We are.
I remembered. See, Annie.
That's right. You are. That's right. And that's the biggie. You know what I mean? Is that and that's the sad thing too about even starting a recovery organization. Because that's a lot of work to to get the resources, to have the resources, or all of us to have the resources. Right. I mean, it shouldn't be greed with the resources, but the biggest resources in the country and still today, right, is housing and jobs. Right. And still housing. Of course, Oxford House is killing them, right? And they've got, of course, in Texas now, almost 300 or more than 300.
Oh yeah, we just had them on some ladies from Oxford House on. Right. Yeah, they're doing great.
Yeah, Paul Malloy is the founder. He just passed just a couple of years ago of the Phoenix House, right? We used to go to the White House together and talk about recovery and all kinds of stuff. But to have over 1,000 homes, in the country, right? And the thing is that in some communities don't have not one recovery house. Right. Housing is huge, especially when you can get together with people like us. Hang out with guys.
I mean, sober living, I think is like paramount in a lot of people's recovery. Right. And I know Josh also facilitates that with Cardinal House. Right. But I think it's because you're in there and you're like, people can call your BS, right? And they know what you're going through because they're living with you.
They're living with you. Yeah. And that's what the cool thing about recovery today is that we've made it loud, and there's still a lot more that has to happen, which is the resources. Still number one, and we don't have enough resources, right? And of course, with APA, we do dual recovery, and that's another support.
The co-occurring,
co-occurring or either dual recovery.
Okay.
DRA, as Dr. Knuckles, who actually had cocaine addiction and had PTSD, and he wrote the book on DRA, which is Dual Recovery Anonymous. Right, and so they're using.
I think a lot of people would have that, the dual recovery,
mental health disorder and substance abuse disorder.
Yep, both together, right? Like me, I always say I got both of them.
All right, for sure. Hey, real quick, let's throw to commercial, but I want to get back and also talk more about what APA offers.
Okay, great.
But anyway, Chad, are you ready?
Yeah, dude.
You were born ready. We're gonna do Max.
I was born ready for this.
Well, we'll do Max the Axe first. Hit up if you're needing a personal injury attorney. Hit up thispinklawyer.com, and that will take you to our friend Max the Axe, who is a fantastic human and a fantastic personal injury attorney. He was just in town last week, and we got to hang out. He had a judgment in his client's favor, so he is doing great. But hit up Max the Axe at thispinklawyer.com, and he is practicing in Texas and in California. So if you need personal injury lawyer, he's your dude. And then I always love this. This is always fun. So we have Stepping Stones Sober Living, our good friend Joe Lindsay. And he had a commercial that was written by AI. And so Chad is actually reads it in whatever character shows up. And sometimes it's multiple voices. So, Chad, would you be so kind as to...
I'm so excited for this.
To grace us with a commercial.
Let me get a little caffeine in me real quick.
Hey, while you're doing that, the number is 920-454-0569. Hit it.
All right. Okay, so we'll start with Morgan Freeman.
Scene.
Are you or someone you know struggling with addiction and looking for a safe and supportive environment to begin your road to recovery? Stepping Stones Sober Living is the place to go. Now we go French. we know that first on the journey to the party can seem impossible, but you never have to do it alone. Our community provides support and encouragement.
I like to do it like to see how long Jack can go without making himself crack up.
the word encouragement, dude. Encouragement. You need to stay on track and achieve your recovery goals. Now the Madonna voice.
Oh yeah.
We offer clean and comfortable accommodations that will help you feel right at home. Plus our historic I do it every time. Plus our location is conveniently close to historic downtown McKinney. Oh, it's so beautiful. And several vibrant recovery groups, so you can easily access the support and resources you need to succeed. Recovery is a journey, not a destination. If you're serious about your recovery, then we want to help.
Very good. We made that through. But that is hit up our boy
That's a
Joe.
lot of work, dude.
Yeah, I know, right? It's a lot of work to watch you do it, dude. But that is Joe Lindsay, 920-454-0569. Once again, that is 920-454-0569. Joe Lindsay out there at Stepping Stones Sober Living. And then we also have our new EP that is coming out. It comes out July 28th.
Yeah.
And you wanted to play a little commercial that we had for
I
that.
just played
real
a
quick,
little video
so
real
they
quick.
can hear some of the music we make.
This song is me. So there we go.
All right, I love it. I love
That's
it.
the third track from the first EP. that we're
Yeah,
putting
so
out.
we actually wanted to call it the Meh EP.
Yeah, because
Hold
they're
on,
like the
hold on.
songs are like.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Was there a video going of the two of you
Yeah.
while that was playing?
No.
You were playing a video, so people watching on YouTube are going to see a video, not this.
Yeah,
room.
not us.
Right.
Because you need viewers. You need to know both of these boys threw up a hand all nonchalant, and as soon as it dropped, they like did a finger gun or like a little magical swipe. They just felt it. You know what I mean?
I think we might have a new fan with Joe, dude. Joe was
Yeah.
getting it, dude.
He's been dancing the whole time, man.
It'll be streaming. Actually, Something Beautiful and Must Get Burned are both streaming currently.
Yeah.
So if you just look it up on Spotify, Apple Music, and all that stuff, it's
I went from
absolutely free.
I went from 14 monthly listeners to over 2,000 since we put out Something Beautiful. So that's pretty
It's
cool.
because you partnered with the famous and infamous Kelly Ripa.
Well, yeah. I
The
mean,
people's
he has
champ.
a name, and I have talent.
And you have talent. There it is, dude. That's all you need.
Very good.
He said it. I thought it. So cool.
Did you say something, Chad?
Hold on, what'd you say?
What? Are you here? Anyway, thank you for putting up with that, Joe. I told you it was awkward, but you knew what to expect. But
Man, you were like, hey, you really need to tone it down. Joe's like super professional. He was like, man, I was jumping into the dope. And I was like, man, this is my dude right here.
I actually have a question. Joe, do you know Mike Dolphin?
Why do I know that name?
is that what
Because
Dolphin
he's been
Road's
sober for
out-
decades
named after?
from Harlem, New York.
Oh,
He
really?
was, yeah, he's a black man, heroin addict, been
Where's he
sober
at?
for decades. I don't know where he lives now. I think he's in California.
Really? We need to get a hold of Mike.
So I put together, helped with a group of people like this recovery convention for a specific fellowship back in 2017, and he was our keynote speaker.
Okay.
And I mean, he's incredible,
Right.
incredible. And he was also talking about like pretending to be something he wasn't. In one room, identifying as something so he could fit in and be like these guys that he respected and admired and that were directing him to a new life.
Right.
And years into it, just realized like I don't have a problem with alcohol. Does that mean I don't need to be abstinent and do this thing?
Right.
Sure. And so anyways, it was cool. It's like an invitation for me to do the same. So, but he's a powerful speaker. If you don't know him,
No. Yeah. We need to try to get a hold of him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have your people call his people and
Yeah.
make it happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So I want to get to the good stuff that APA offers,
Right.
because I know, like I said, I was trained by your wife, which is, and I don't know. I got a grant. I got government funding for it at the time, and I don't know who I got that through, but Annie made it happen. So
Right,
It
cool.
was cool. Yeah, for sure.
Kelly doesn't even
Eddie
know what
Powell.
day it is most of the time.
That's right, dude. I just wake up and Chad has to dress me.
Oh no.
I feel that.
And to feed me my porridge in the morning.
I made sure I packed an apple in his backpack so when he gets hungry.
I love it.
Wow.
But so yeah, let's hear like what APA actually has to offer.
Hey, but before I go there, we talk
Yeah.
about music. Let me just say I am a music man.
Okay.
Because I grew up on stage in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What'd you play?
Well, I was a professional tap dancer.
Oh,
Me
okay.
and my two brothers and my dad.
Oh, wow.
The Powell brothers and dad.
Oh, wow.
And matter of fact, on my YouTube channel, you could actually see us on
I've
television.
seen this.
Have
It's
you seen?
good stuff. You
Right.
played it at the rally in Houston
That's
2
right.
years ago.
That's right. I did. That's right. I did play that around. So yeah, 4 years old on television on CBS. On
Oh,
the
wow.
Ted Back Amateur. So yeah, and that was like on the magazine said, Powell brothers make early fame and all that. I mean,
Oh, wow.
But my dad, the alcoholism from my father though, is what,
Uh-huh.
of course, killed a lot of that right there.
Right.
all
Well,
that
that's part of
trauma.
showbiz.
That's part of showbiz.
Yeah,
You got
for
it.
sure, dude.
That's
I know.
right.
I
You
know that.
it.
Kelly
I had
knows.
I had a front row seat. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why. Well, that's why I got into showbiz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
we
the
can
free
party.
drinks.
For the free
Right,
drink.
Yeah. Right.
That's right. That's a huge part of showbiz.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, all the way, 15 years on stage. Sammy Davis,
I
Frank
gotta
Sinatra,
look that up.
all those guys.
All the Rat
Yeah.
Pack guys.
Oh yeah,
I
all
like-
that.
I
That's
love
right.
it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's cool.
that's
So then,
what-
how long did you do tap dancing for?
15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were what? You started at 4.
Even when I was
and
getting
then-
high, yeah.
Oh, wow.
You remember that I said I started drinking when I was 10?
Uh-huh.
That was at a nightclub.
Uh-huh.
Now, again, 10 years old, what is a 10-year-old doing at a nightclub?
Right.
At midnight. The showtime for us to go on to tap dance
Right.
doesn't start till midnight.
Right.
At the nightclubs.
I bet a 10-year-old Joe saw some shit, man.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. But yeah. So the music, I got it in my blood. That's why every time I hear it, I
Right.
gotta go. Yeah.
I got it.
But Apple,
Uh-huh.
also, the thing is music is cultural. We want to make sure everybody, of course, whatever
Mm-hmm.
music you listen to, we want to have that there. And that's even one of the, what was it, Recovery Unplugged. That's one of the organizations that
Uh-huh.
does music as a path of recovery.
Right, sure.
Right. So APA, of course, honoring all paths and also connected, like I said, with Faces and Voices of Recovery, right? So again, and you can even go to the site and they bring up like 30 different paths on there when you put in paths of
Right.
recovery, right? So it is many different paths of recovery.
Sure.
But APA, again, with the our mission is to educate all segments of the community about the nature of addiction and mental health and provide recovery support services.
Right.
That's our so wherever I go, like today, like right here,
You're
now,
preaching
That's
the
right,
gospel
right,
of recovery.
right, that's
I
right.
got
It's
it.
all
Well,
about
what is the website if somebody actually wants to reach out?
Right.
And then also what does APA offer? Like I know peer service, and then y'all have, do y'all have meetings there as well,
Oh, yeah.
or
Oh,
tell
yeah.
us
Oh,
tell
yeah.
us all the good stuff that y'all
Yeah,
offer.
yeah. Well, the website first, because you can go to the website and
Yeah,
get a
of
lot
course.
of this, right, which is www.aparecovery.org. So APA, A-P-A-A, recovery.org.
Okay, got it.
And then you can also, what's going to pop up is Recovery is Why. And that's my newest associate director, Kai Stansberry Fields, right? Since she took over a couple of years ago as an associate, one of the things she helped with the website, right? And she always said recovery is why, right? And so everything we do, right? So
Right.
that'll pop up also. But the website will give you a whole lot of information about Apple. Again, as far as what we do, one is, of course, what I'm doing now as far as community outreach,
Yeah.
education. Very important for the community to
For
learn.
sure.
Again, what is it, right? Advocating, right? Connecting to the community. APA is also has a national accreditation
Okay.
because Faces and Voices of Recovery, and it's called CAPERS, which is a certification. I'm sorry, what is it? Yeah, Council on accreditation.
Yeah, there's going to be a quiz after this.
It is, okay,
Oh,
on
yeah.
peer recovery support services. It's called
Right.
CAPES, right?
Right.
So, yeah, so it's Council on Accreditation for Peer Recovery Support Services.
Okay.
So that's something that we live by, 30 standards. Again, all recovery. Everything is recovery. No treatment. Again, we always have to specify because a lot of people will see because they're not used to recovery organizations.
Right.
So they think first thing they think is, well, they're doing treatment over there.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. So
Even
there's no housing there either, right? Or
there's no housing there. We just
Okay.
have the resources, right? That
Right.
we can connect them
Gotcha.
and take them to, you know what I mean, et cetera. But yeah, we have to think outside the box, you know what
Right.
I mean, too, as far as what you see.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's a lot of other stuff going on. And organizations that's going
right.
on, right, that people don't see, right, and they need to know about. Right. But yeah, all of those, when it comes to those recovery support resources that we do, again, with housing, as far as referrals, all of those kind of housing, jobs, working real close. I'm on the also the Texas Workforce Board
Okay.
for VR services. Substance use and mental health is considered disability also by the Texas Workforce Commission. And
Right.
under VR, vocational rehabilitation services. So again, now you can also, those trainings that for the be a peer specialist, right? They would pay for you. That's a job, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you
Yeah.
can go to the any of the Texas Workforce Solutions, right? Tell them you're looking for a job and peer serve. So that's one of the things, because one of the things that we said when we started this 25 years ago is our purpose is to spread recovery. So wherever I go, I'm on a lot of stuff and done a lot of stuff, and always to talk about and spread recovery.
Right.
Even with the Workforce Commission, right?
Yeah.
So the Texas Certification Board, right? Also, that I'm over the peers committee and for the state of Texas for the Certification Board, because you mentioned RSPS earlier.
Correct.
So again, with peer specialists, right, and the work that we do. The only reason why it was just peer recovery support specialist, which is PRSS, right? That was the only certification coming out of ICRC, which is a whole nother level.
Right.
There, right. But the thing is that with Medicaid is what we went and we advocated for Medicaid to pay to bill for peer services.
Right.
That's when it became RSPS.
Right.
And MHPS.
And I know that was a big
Right.
a big part of it, that the RSPS
Right.
is Medicaid billable.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
Medicaid billing, and that started in 2017. That was
Yeah.
just only 6 years ago, right? Is when we actually went to the Medicaid.
I was still
RSPS
drinking
and
back
MHPS.
then. Heavily.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got a qualm with that board because they gave him a certification.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah. So, but the thing is that we don't want to hold anybody out back, or even with the exceptions process that we do for someone maybe that have a lived background, lived experience. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of things, nuances, or things that you have to do that even it can be a barrier of recovery or becoming a coach, right? Which is the background check, right?
Right.
But again, so if you haven't committed a crime or felony, rather, let's say, hopefully not a crime,
Right, right.
in the last 3 years,
Right, yeah.
then you can be a peer specialist,
Right.
Then you could be if you have a mental health peer, and they don't do no deep dive in it to see as you
well,
have
I know.
a diagnosis.
The
it's not
background
about
check just
Right.
goes to the FBI.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
$29.
exactly.
I did it.
Yes,
I've been there. I've
yeah,
been
yeah.
there. done
And guess
that.
what? I'm still having to do one too.
Yeah.
A background. Okay, how many years?
Are you getting your continuing your
CEUs.
CUIs?
CUEs?
CUEs.
Right.
CEUs.
CEUs.
That's
right.
it.
It's
Yeah.
certification and education units. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to have those hours.
Right.
Because you only have to have 20.
Right.
Coaches, peer specialists, RS, and MH, it's just 20.
Yeah.
Right? LCDC now you're getting up there to 60.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you have to. We want to make sure people
That they're
are
active.
educated,
Yeah,
right,
that
and
they're not-
active,
yeah,
right.
obviously.
Yeah. The main
Obviously.
thing is recovery, though.
Right.
Like I tell my staff, because Apple, I have 45 staff that works for Apple right now, and all of them are certified. All of us in recovery.
Right.
And the thing is that we want to make sure they're healthy, because I ask all, how healthy are you?
Yeah.
Right. So what are you doing? And I think we talked about that earlier, as well. You mentioned it too, as far as getting sober. But now what?
Right,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
All that trauma and drama that we've experienced, right? And
For
some of that
sure.
stuff's still coming out.
Right.
So we say a person has to talk it out and work it out, so they don't act it out. And you can act it out.
I like
in many
that.
different
I like
I
that.
like that. Say that again.
I said we have to talk it out and work it out, so we don't
acted out. I like it.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
it.
And
Well, okay, so
so
go ahead.
Apple, yeah. So again, with the services, right, as far as all that we do, because we have, again, like I said, the coaches that I just told you, you know, and all of them there's peer specialists. So their job is to engage the community.
Right.
And of course, we have a lot of referrals from the local behavior health authority, from all of we also have the commissioners do every month. We have the behavior health leadership team where all of the providers in the city, you know what I mean?
Right.
Apple is in jail right now. Well, the jail, they stopped since COVID, right? We actually had a recovery pod with 63 men in jail for 8 years. We was in the Green Oak Psychiatric Hospital for 8 years.
Right. And that's part of that advocacy because you've got a captive audience there. That's a good place to be an advocate.
Yeah. But engaging people, right?
Yeah.
The job and the goal is spreading recovery. So a lot of people still don't have a clue what wellness and recovery is. I mean, everybody ain't even buying into the word recovery, right? I mean, it's like wellness, you know what I mean, or whatever path that you choose, right?
Right.
You know, but we want you, you know what I mean, to at least live the life, the quality of life, right, that we didn't have a chance before. I mean,
sure.
You know, but what would you like, you know what I mean, as far as moving forward in your recovery, right? And how healthy can we serve with it? When we first started, we couldn't even do yoga. The federal government wouldn't even let us do yoga. Right? Now,
Right.
guess what? Everybody doing yoga.
That's
right?
crazy.
Yeah, they're like, hold on, you ain't spending our money on no yoga.
Yoga's a religious. Yeah, right.
You know, so now, of course, even with yoga, we do 23 groups a week, right? 12 steps groups is just something, you know, also that we let the community handle. That's not something that we, you know what I mean, is part of out there, but we do have now. I think NA is coming back because of COVID. A lot of stuff I had to shut down.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then everything went remote. The cool thing is that we learned what does remote coaching look like? What is, again, telehealth or telecoach?
Oh, yeah.
Right? What to do, right? As far as now visually on the screen, virtual. And so, that right there, a lot of our services now is remote and that. So, again, and having the coaches out and more of them could work from home.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Right. But
Definitely.
so stuff like that as far as what is it, as far as information that people have to have no matter where we go. And since we do both mental health and substance use, right, then that means that we are all over the place. I was doing mental health, though, before even we started Apple. 30 years ago, because of, like, one is my sponsor was a psychiatrist. And then I admit, and because of my own mental health, right, and my family, man, I got a brother with schizophrenia, right?
Okay.
I got 7 brothers and 1 sister. And
dude, that would have been some tap dancing, dude.
You know
I would not want to be the neighbor.
Right. Oh yeah. New York City.
Yeah.
There's a lot of families like that.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of us out there, you know.
Right.
But definitely to educate, you know, the community on even with mental health. I was in a event this Saturday because I started the first African American NAMI group 20 years ago too, because I saw that the communities, right, and I knew my parents didn't know, like I said, you know, what is schizophrenia, why is it, you know, and even the stigma around calling somebody crazy, right? So, you know, the education, what I give, you know what I mean, even with my staff, as far as that opportunity, if you hear somebody say he's crazy, right, and especially if they looking at somebody and pointing to somebody.
Yeah, like me pointing to Chad.
Yeah. Right. And then they say, okay, so what behavior, what is it that you see, right? And as far as, you know, that way you don't have to really diagnose, but you can add them and say, well, like, he ain't crazy, because again, if you had diabetes or he had cancer, you wouldn't call him crazy, right? But because of the mental health, right? And then they say, well, he's talking to himself, or somebody he sees talking to the wall.
He comes up with multiple characters.
Right. Yeah.
You don't know multiple personality disorder.
Multiple pathways to Chad, man.
Right,
there
you go. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. I got multiple paths too. That's right. Yeah. So, but I think that, you know, opportunities with mental health and addiction, right, to get the word out. Again, one is that they want to see people do recover. Right. You know, I mean, and that, because I mean now.
Well, let's talk about what's coming up, because I know in September, like you said, is National Recovery Month.
Right.
But this is a huge thing, an event that's taking place actually by your brick and mortar building, adjacent to that property.
Yep.
It's over by Fair Park, but it's called the Big Texas Rally.
Yeah.
And this is really to get out in the open, and basically all types of people. I'm sure Mr. Jordan will be there.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but it's basically an opportunity for everybody to get together,
Right.
but then also spread the message to
Yes.
people that might not know
Right.
all these resources are out there.
Right. And the cool thing about events like this is that we don't know who don't know, right? I mean, in other words, businesses, right? Doctors' offices. I mean, you could go down the street where everybody needs to know about the Big Texas Rally for Recovery. Everybody needs to know that people do get well and people do recover,
Right.
Because you don't know who's got. But
Right.
there's a lot of families that got a brother, uncle,
Oh, for
a
sure.
son, a daughter.
I've had so
right?
many people just through the show
Yes.
just come up and just say, hey,
Exactly.
oh, yeah, my dad went through this, or
Yeah.
my dad's going through it right now, or
Yeah.
mom, or whatever. But, yeah.
So the rally
yeah.
is something that really the state, now again, this is the 34th year with the federal government providing Recovery Month.
Right.
And then now Recovery, Big Texas rallies around the country for recovery. And in Texas, this is our 14th year of doing rallies for recovery, right? With the state of Texas. So that means that the state actually put some money into it. And they said, well, okay, Joe, and us. Really, a lot of us came together 14 years ago, and we did it at Austin, Texas, because Austin's like the central place for Texas,
Sure. Right.
So we had the first 5 rallies in Austin, Texas, at the Capitol. We
Right.
was all
that's cool.
outside. We got pictures and stuff.
Right.
It's on YouTube and all that. That's us in Austin at the Capitol, right? And then, of course, we said, okay, because we still didn't get the crowd. Now, again, me coming from New York City, I'm used to Philadelphia. The template that I have for a rally is for 30,000 people.
Right.
Philadelphia walked 30,000 people through downtown Philly every year.
Wow.
30,000.
Yeah.
So with Texas, I'm like, hold it. Now, we should be killing them.
Right.
There's no reason why we can only get 2,000 people.
Right.
The biggest rallies was maybe the most we've had is 4,000. I know San Antonio had one. It was 3,000 to 4,000. The rally that I did in 2016, right, with the White House and all of them that we had there.
Right.
That was a national rally. So we had people from all over the country come.
Right.
And we walked across the Ron Kirk Bridge downtown Dallas. But that right there was, the closest. We had almost 4,000 people there, right? That's still small numbers, right?
Sure.
And at all these rallies, the state paid 13 buses. 13 buses came from 13 cities to wherever the rally was at, right? So, again, when it was in Dallas that time, right, 13 buses from around the state of Texas, right? Galveston, we've had one there, another big one, right? Then Josh he came to the one in Houston, right? And that was just a couple of years ago. Dorothy and Dillon, they hosted that. I hosted 4 of the last 6 years, right, of the rally.
And you'll be hosting this year's.
This year I'm holding it too. Now, but this year, but last year what I did was tell the state that, hey, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do a statewide rally again because I said that we need to look at every city need to take a deeper dive into their cities and their communities because we're not getting enough people. Even though we're saying we're doing a state rally and then we're only getting 3,000 to 4,000 people. I said so the cities need to. So that's why last year we went back to. So Dallas, the T-shirt that I got on is called "The Sound," the Big Texas Rally for Recovery.
Okay.
This was in Coppell, Texas.
Oh, nice.
They got a nice place, the lake, and and it was a lot cheaper
Right.
than other rallies that we've had at, at the Texas Rangers Stadium, at the big park. And, so the Sound, and that's the name of the venue that was out there, right? It's out there in Coppell. But this year, of course, we're making history, bringing it back into Dallas because some of the buses don't even go there.
Right.
Coppell.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So again, we want to make it's got to be more community based, right?
Right.
So we're working with DART Station.
I got a question. So if somebody's out there listening and wants to help spread the word, to get that word out there, what can they do to help be an advocate for that?
Couple of things.
Yeah.
One is you could talk to Kelly. I don't know if anybody know Kelly out there. You know what I mean? But again, because we have a meeting this Thursday. Right?
Yeah, I will be at your building on Thursday. Yeah,
at the site. Right.
Yeah.
The other one is, of course, that you can call our phone number, which is 214-634-2722. and that 2722 is APA.
Okay.
So it's 214-634 APA 2722.
Okay.
That's one. Or go to our website, and you have my email, which is Joe Powell. Right. Young man and long term. No, it's Joe Powell at applerecovery.org.
All right.
Okay, so they
Hey,
can
weren't you
even
part of
reach
the
out
Powell
with me.
family tap crew?
Yeah. And even Annie Powell, she's taking the lead
Yeah.
this year. On
Well,
a
she
lot.
is. Yeah, she's
Right.
quarterbacking, so to speak.
Exactly. Right. And that's Annie Powell. I think she's Annie Powell at oneworldnetwork.org.
Okay. All right.
Right. And so, but yeah, it's a lot of ways, and it's a lot of things that we still got, a couple of months, and I'll be meeting with the commissioners.
Well,
and
let's
getting all the
kind of
folks.
tell them what, like Josh,
Okay.
and you can jump in, but what can they expect? Because I know you've been there before, Josh. So what did you see out there that was cool that people can look forward to?
Yeah, so 2 years ago in Houston, we went, and there were vendor tables, which is obviously like I'm kind of on the marketing side and stuff like that. So that was part of why I showed up. But then while we were out there, the whole time it was hooked up with like different organizations, did like skits, I remember. And so like peer support organizations would get up there with clients and peers and staff, and they would all work together to do these funny skits. There was food. The venue was beautiful. It was big. And like Joe was talking about, like there weren't a ton of people.
Mm-hmm.
And in that giant, beautiful space, it was just like a magnifying glasses on that fact. But then I remember at the end of the night, and I got to be a judge in this, we did Recovery's Got Talent. We had people up there singing,
Right.
doing different things like that. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And DFW is the home of the greatest recovery community in the entire world. I don't care what pathway you're a part of. I mean, professionally, 12-step, smart, all of it. Like, I don't care. I've been all over. And I've met people professionally in the treatment industry. I've met people in the rooms. And, like, nobody does it the way they do it here. Sorry, Houston. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care how you feel about that. So there's no reason we can't all show up. I think part of it is, like, what are we supporting? And what I immediately think of is, and there's a friend of mine, his name's Jeff, and he's helped me a lot and will continue to help me a lot, but he has this thing that I've heard him say whenever he's speaking in front of people, and he's talking about, and I don't remember where it comes from, but essentially he wraps up this little story of somebody talking about, like, oh, people like that never get better, by saying, like, you're not right. Like, the guy who flies your plane, your doctor, your banker, your kid's teacher, like, all these people are people in recovery. So if we get thousands of people to get into downtown Dallas and walk around, there was a point in my life where I'm the type of person, when you saw me, you would clench your purse. And I hope I don't look like that today.
Right.
I don't know, that mustache, dude. I would clench my purse. I've been clenching my purse this entire show, dude.
Different purse, okay? But if we can get
his
out
jail purse
and like let people know, like, hey, this is what recovery looks like. Like, some of us are in different parts of our journey, but we can all be headed in a direction where we're safe to be around, we're trustworthy, we're contributing to the community around us. Like, everybody's headed in that direction, even if there's still in active use. And I'm not saying that it's a space where people are using. I'm just saying it's a space where it's like we can all meet on the same page. Right. Whether we're thinking about it, whether we've been in it, whatever, and then show the community around us, like, hey, it doesn't look the way that your mind tells you, the way that you see on movies and stuff like that.
For sure.
Harm reduction, even, that's right. That's one of the paths that is to be in, at least to help with the opiate epidemic.
And I think I think harm reduction. I'm a huge advocate because, hey, it's better than the alternate.
That's right.
It's better than trying to score stuff on the street and the whole needle thing.
Oh yeah. Now, like Josh was saying, as far as the vendors, that's biggie because of the sponsors too. That want to be a part of the rally, right? And so, and we're going to be highlighting the sponsors and the vendors. We're going to have a nice big space for both, and it will be, you know, I hate to say VIP, but there will be also VIP area, right? So the area for.
I'm trying to get us in that
every-
section, dude. I'm trying. I'm trying to get
Costs
us
a lot of money to get in that section.
I told Annie, we need some air conditioner.
It would be September.
Right.
It'll start to cool down. Should only be 93 degrees.
Right.
Right. So the bounce houses, the kids area, right? Because it is family also.
Sure.
We want people to have, and even the speakers that we'll have. And we've always had maybe a younger kid to talk about how it is now with her mother being in recovery or her dad
I love
in
it.
recovery.
Okay.
Right? Very important for
Little
families.
almost Al-Anon piece to the puzzle. Yeah.
Well, this
sharing
is-
her experience.
This is before what is it before Alateen really? She
Oh,
was, but she
Alateen,
probably
yeah.
was about this girl.
Yeah.
I think she was about 14 or 15.
Right, I
when
gotcha.
we said that, right?
Uh-huh.
But but the thing is so the many paths and the speakers will be there. Entertainment, the bands
Right.
will also be there, right?
And I will be
The bounce
emceeing
house.
the event. That's
Right,
scary,
right, yeah,
dude.
For
yeah,
We
yeah,
might
yeah,
even get
yeah.
I
I'll
actually.
be-
Yeah,
What about that background check?
Did you say a background check?
Yeah, background check.
We need to rerun
I already did that for my RSPS, so
Right,
I'm good,
right,
dude.
right.
It's good. It fell off my record a while back,
Good,
so I'm
good.
good.
Right,
I'm
right,
good.
right,
But I'm looking forward
Yeah,
to that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then Chad and I are going to have a table there.
Yeah.
Right.
And that way, anybody
Yeah.
that's watching the show can come out and meet and greet and get Chad's autograph.
Oh,
Right.
He'll sign your apple.
I have a pretty good signature. A lot of people like it on papers and napkins.
Josh had to take off his headphones.
Right.
That creeped him out so bad. But I want to thank you, for coming out and spending the time with us today and letting people. And I love that you have your passion and what your passion is doing for people. And obviously, you got some passion because you've been doing it for 30 or 25 years. So there's got to be something more to it, than just a job. You know what I mean?
It is. And it's all about community. It's about
Right.
connecting, and see, like I said, who do I hang out with is very important. You know
Right,
what I mean?
yeah, for sure.
Us at this table here.
For sure.
One of the other sponsors too is the Phoenix,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So, and
Yep.
of course,
And
so
they're the
exercise-
sober active community,
right? And then they're
yeah.
gonna do So they're gonna do some exercises too for people that want
Right.
to do that. The thing
Oh,
is,
actually, Dawn was talking about doing little, like picnic games,
Right.
as far as that. So I think they're trying to work that out. Too.
Oh yeah. The commissioners, you know what I mean, and we're going to have, of course, some great speakers that's also part of the community to making
Right.
sure we could push this recovery out loud forward. Right.
Right.
We got to make sure that we get everybody there, all
Sure.
public officials, business, everybody.
All
so
right.
yeah, we're not going to stop. So we need all of y'all help.
Yeah,
we need
for sure.
everybody's
Yeah,
help.
for
Right,
sure. Everybody
to
come
support.
out and
Right.
support for sure.
Right,
And that
right.
is September 9th. And
Right,
that's going to be
September
right by Fair Park.
Yep.
It's really
And,
funny. That's
yeah.
that's the day after I got in that car wreck. So
Is it?
not only is it Recovery Month, but it's also
So-
Chad lost his leg month.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which started the beginning of the end for my
Really.
addiction. There
Right.
you go.
There we
Chad
go.
might
So that
need
is
to get
super
up there
recovery
and say a
month.
couple of words. Sure, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
I know.
That'd be cool.
But I know Chad's really good at cornhole.
Oh my God.
Surprisingly, I am, dude. I have been I played when I was at Brazos, and I was terrible, dude. Right?
been
I'm
practicing.
absolutely terrible. Dude, the last time I played, I 3 turns in a row. I made all 3 bags because there was only 3 bags.
Right.
I made all 3,
You
and
know
I was like,
there's-
"What happened, dude?"
Professional.
Yeah,
corner.
man.
You're aware?
Oh yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Dude,
but
he's
I'm never
in the
gonna do
zone
that
now. But hey, I love that idea though. I'll talk to Annie about
Yeah,
it and
yeah,
actually
yeah.
have Chad go up and tell his story.
Right,
and
right.
then afterwards I'll make fun of Chad.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna make fun of the guy with one leg after he tells his story.
right,
Yeah,
right, right.
have at it, bud.
Way to go, Kelly.
Right.
That's hilarious.
Now, the one thing about the rally, though, we need
Uh-huh.
to also add is that there is committees. So,
Okay.
yeah, we are still looking for people to be on committee. Because, I always tell people you can't think small. You got to think big on a rally. If we want it to be big, we got to think big.
Sure.
So that means it needs to be a committee. It shouldn't be one person, doing everything.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I like it, like what you were saying, even with the program, because that's a whole nother committee, the program
Right.
committee, right? To see, again, who all is going to be on
Right.
the stage and all that, right? And then what Josh mentioned earlier, even with the marketing committee, right? And so all that has to, they need a committee, especially that
Right.
Where you talking about social media and everything,
Right.
how are we going to get it out there, right? So,
Sure.
I mean, we just now, and it's getting late, but we need to, we need to get all this out in these committees soon. So anybody that's listening or seeing,
that wants to help out,
yeah,
they can reach out
please.
through APA
Yes.
to figure out how they can help.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. And then also, I like to give the guest always a chance to shout out or plug anything you want here at the end.
Oh, well,
So-
just Apple, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Making sure that Apple, come over to
Right.
Apple, be a part of it, jam with us at Jamming and Recovery,
Right.
Recovery at the movies and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, any of our events,
Okay.
just come on by and say, make sure they come to the Big Texas Rally, though,
Right.
on September the 9th.
For sure.
Right, we need to blow this up.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
And
Okay.
that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah,
So we'll
good.
definitely be spreading the word for you.
Good.
And thanks again for coming out. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Obviously, you might want to shout out to somebody that we both know. You.
Andy,
Talking
who was
about-
that? Andy Powell? Yeah, thank you, Andy Powell. Right,
Yeah,
One
right.
World. One World. That's
There we
right.
go.
Recovery Network. That's Eddie Powell. There we go.
All right.
Yeah.
I'd see. I'm looking out for you.
Yeah,
man.
I know.
See?
Yeah, I didn't get no trouble. Right?
That's real crazy. Kelly has people look out for their significant others because every time we go get food, I'm like, bro, you should probably ask your wife if she wants something.
Right.
He's like, dude, yeah, I should. She'd get mad.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll edit that part out. It's all good. But anyway, hey, Josh, I think you're going to sit in with us next week as well, right?
Yeah, I am. I'll be there
yes,
next
I
week.
am.
You mean like
I'll
in
be
30
here.
minutes? Yeah.
No, next week.
Yeah.
I
I only have one shirt, so next week I'm going to be wearing the shirt. I will
turn
wash
it in.
between
Turn
now
it
and then.
inside out.
It's the same shirt.
It's the same shirt.
Dude, I have
We can
six,
rotate.
I have 6 of these shirts. So
Same color.
my Husky Boy shirts, dude.
Right.
Same color, same everything, man. So I
Really?
just people are like, is that the same shirt? I'm like, no, it's actually a different one. And they're $20 a piece. Thank you very much.
Right.
Dang.
Exactly. We
Wow.
need to get a sponsorship by Husky Boy.
Fresh, clean threads, dude.
Husky Boy shirts.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Josh, thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
It's
Chadwick,
an honor, too, to meet Josh, too. I tell
Right.
you, man. Yes, sir.
and then Chadwick, as always, I appreciate your efforts. And
I bet you do.
I bet you do. I bet you do, brother.
You're welcome.
Yeah, right. That was our thing. We knew we had this thing going on where you would impose a thank you on somebody and just go, "Hey, bud, you know what? You're welcome."
Hey, but man,
But-
at the
but
end,
really, at the end of the
end of
day-
the day, when all's said and done,
When you put
I know how welcome you really are.
when you put your head down on the pillow
At the end of the night,
at night, you're welcome.
That's a lot.
Anyway.
That's heavy.
yeah, I understand. I understand your gratitude and everything. I really
Yeah.
do. But I just
Yeah.
want you to know how welcome you really are.
Hey, and Chad, you are the most welcome.
Yeah, I would say that if I knew that I was the most welcome. So
Kinda
really,
makes you
you're very
reconsider
welcome.
like the level of gratitude you're expressing. Like,
Right.
should I have brought a gift?
Should I? Right, exactly. All right. Well, hey. Next week we got my friend Tony D coming up. He's got a great story. He's a DJ as well, and he is in recovery. He actually is in down in Waco and is driving up. So it will be
Tony.
it will be a
I
good
know
one.
him, dude.
I know him. I can see into the future if I look into the lobby.
Dude, he's a legend.
I know. So I'm
Tune in
excited
next
to
week.
have that for sure. But be sure, check out the Big Texas Rally September 9th. And then we will see you there, hopefully. And we're going to push it in the upcoming episodes to really get people out there.
Yep. And
So-
I'm not going to do the fart noise whenever you end this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, all right, kids, remember there is no magic pill for sobriety because if there was, we would all take too many.